Yes, yes, fine, Doctor. Yes, I really am most grateful. In about an hour, then. Yes, thank you so much. The trouble with taking a boat on the river to get away from it all is when you do want to communicate with the outside world.
Delighted to help.
I do hope you'll allow me to pay for the call.
Here. Ah, Drusilla. Let me introduce you. My secretary, Miss Lamb, my housekeeper, Mr. Harris.
How do you do? Hello.
Mr. David Maxton.
Oh, then you know who I am.
Of course, television personality of the year.
No, don't let us date ourselves too precisely. But really, seriously, this is most encouraging. I didn't think anyone remembered me these days.
Viewers' problems, dramatized and discussed.
Even John remembers.
The erring husband, the nagging wife, difficult teenagers, to bed or not to bed.
Only the names have been changed.
Frank discussion, plain speaking.
In the very best possible taste.
Of course, it's all coming back to me. Talk it over with David Maxton.
Yes, that's right.
Every Wednesday night after the news.
Yeah.
I had an aunt who adored you. She used to put a bowl of flowers on the set whenever your program was on.
Oh, really?
And say goodnight to you at the end.
Well, how charming of her. Well, that sort of thing did happen, you know.
Mr. Maxton's on holiday here. He has a boat on the river.
Fishing, my only vice.
Unfortunately, his wife has been taken ill.
Oh, nothing serious, but one can't be too careful.
So he came in here to telephone for a doctor.
Now, you must excuse me. I mustn't take up any more of
May
your...
I ask, the call box down the road?
Was occupied. A voluble female, I think you said.
Yes, mouthing away with an ominous pile of coins beside her.
All set to make an afternoon of it. I know how frustrating that can be.
You know, I'm probably wrong, but I have a feeling that your face is familiar to me.
Charles Rose, formerly of Scotland Yard.
Good Lord.
Now retired.
Oh, incredible.
I chose to retire.
No, I mean running into you again like this.
Small world?
Yes, it is, isn't it? Well, thank you. Oh, now. Well, now, we're moored down just by the bridge. Do please drop in any time you're passing.
How kind.
It's extraordinary the way they just vanish, isn't it? He was our household name.
On any product that wanted it, from hair cream to liver salts.
There was a David Maxton fan club, wasn't there? I thought he was dead. What brings him here?
Fishing.
His only vice.
Are you implying that he has others?
Isn't he implying something of the sort by turning up here?
That doesn't necessarily follow.
What doesn't?
That David Maxton, former TV personality of the year,
Heartthrob.
professional charmer,
Is a liar, seducer, an unconvicted killer.
But I've never had a headache in my life.
You've had one all day today, darling, and you've not had a bite to eat.
I've hardly stopped eating. Dave!
And don't call me Dave. Now then, you can make up anything you like to this doctor when he comes. I don't give a damn if he believes you or not. It's not important. I'll just pay him his fee and he'll go.
What's all this about?
And you better put a ring on your finger. I told him on the phone we were married.
Oh, well, that's a move in the right direction. But why you need to call a doctor, I don't know.
Because I had to find some excuse to get in Rose's house. Otherwise, he wouldn't even know I was here. The days when I just had to show my face for people to come running are long since gone.
Well, who is this friend of yours, anyway?
Friend? No. Enemy.
It became known as the Mermaid case.
Yes, it says here.
It was the name of the lord she had in those days. He'd been giving a party on it at Hampton Court.
everybody who was anybody was there.
Suzanne Marsh. Who on earth was she?
Big screen discovery.
Oh, to play her first starring role in the forthcoming epic, The Veils of Love. What happened to her?
After the mermaid case, nothing.
Michael Sanderson, youngest MP in the House.
Definitely a man to watch.
Except
that after the mermaid case, we all stopped watching.
Tony Ackroyd.
Promising career at the bar.
Unfortunately interrupted.
The bar does not take kindly to scandals.
Georgina Clifton, who's recently announced engagement to Lord Jessel.
Till Lord Jessel thought twice.
So Miss Clifton retained her maiden name.
Forever.
And one other who appeared in the newspapers for the first time in her life.
By dying.
Who?
Annie. Little Annie Smith.
They fished her out of the Thames the next morning.
What, dead?
From heart failure, probably due to an aphrodisiac that had been put in her drink. Weak heart. Let that be a warning to you, John.
Oh, I hope I'm not so old. I need to, any more than you are, I'm sure.
What was Annie doing with that lot?
She was standing on the bridge at Hampton Court, hoping for a lift into London.
When, according to a passerby, a voice hailed her from Maxton's boat.
A voice in the night.
A man's voice, saying he was giving a party and would she like to join it.
And was it Maxton's?
We assume so, naturally.
Oh, TV celebrity at Yard.
He denied even setting eyes on the girl, and so did all his distinguished guests.
And you grilled them, did you?
I questioned them in my normal manner.
Behaving like God he was, judging us, and how he enjoyed the part too. The press outside watching his every move, waiting for him to pounce. Who do you think he was? He done just the same thing in my place, just the same.
You're not saying it was you that...
Woods did it. Noel Woods. He confessed, didn't he? Confessed.
Confessed to the whole thing. Out-of-work actor, filling in as a steward for Maxton's party.
Said he brought the girl on board, got her tight, slipped something into her drink to hasten things on a bit, and when she died on him, panicked and put the body overboard.
He not only confessed, he pleaded guilty.
To manslaughter. Maxton and his friends never had to appear in the witness box.
So you think Maxton did it and paid Woods to take the blame?
I think.
Well, how much would it be worth, I wonder, to Woods?
5 years in the nick, say, 50,000.
That much?
You haven't been there, dear.
And Maxton could have raised that?
With a little help from his guests.
We may yet find out the truth.
How?
If Maxton's here to hook me, he will have to offer a little bait. I shall simply float around looking fishy, with my mouth wide open.
Dave, I can't stand it here much longer. Stuck on a boat, nowhere to go, nothing to do, and you won't even tell me why. Let's go back to London. Dave? Him again? Well, why don't you go over and speak to him? After all, we seem to bump into him every day.
Perhaps our nasty, suspicious minds are wrong after all.
Well, he's had plenty of chances to approach you if he really wanted.
When I think of the ingenuity I have used to arrange these casual encounters.
So he is just here for the fishing. And there was no miscarriage of justice 10 years ago. You never really thought there was, did you? Did you?
Would you care for the other half?
No, thank you.
Good, I thought you would.
But,
You want the same again?
Yeah. And get us some crisps, Dave.
Ah, Mr. Maxton.
Ah, Mr. Rose.
How's the fishing?
Oh, not too bad on the whole.
Are you here to fish for anything in particular?
No, I'm just waiting to see what bites.
Ah,
And how's the garden?
growing. Luckily for a man of my indolence, there's very little to do at the moment. It's more a question of just waiting to see what comes up. It's a fact of nature, you know, that whatever lies beneath the surface is bound to show itself in the end.
Including the weeds.
Which have to be got rid of.
Trouble is, one thinks one's got rid of them when the roots are all the time buried there.
That's why, even at times, I have to dig.
yeah? Thank you, Mr. Maxton.
I imagine it must be rather strange for you being retired after such a very active life.
Oh, I enjoy the pursuit of idleness. I am, however, as it happens, writing my memoirs.
Oh, well, they should be interesting. When are they coming out?
Soon. 2 halves a bit of it.
And I imagine you'll be spilling the beans on some famous cases.
To quote from my latest puff in the Sunday World, some fascinating disclosures can be expected.
Oh, I look forward to reading them. They sound the kind of thing I enjoy enormously.
I simply can't keep track of him these days. I mean, where on earth is he now?
He's gone for a walk.
Walk?
The village must be wondering what's come over him. They've never seen him take so much exercise.
Which way did he go?
Ah, a stroll by the river, do you think? Fresh air, the beauties of nature. And if he does happen to be passing Maxton's boat...
How's the fishing, Mr. Maxton?
How's the gardening, Mr. Rose?
Yeah, you know, we shouldn't laugh. I've never seen him so completely at a loss.
That's why it's so funny. He's not used to it. Still, he does seem to find time for other things. What would you like for your birthday tomorrow?
I don't know. A string of diamonds, perhaps? My wants are very simple.
So am I.
I've got work to do.
Have you? I haven't.
Go away.
Go? You mean home?
Well, there doesn't even any point in staying.
Oh! Oh, a real bed tonight. And a telephone. Oh, don't think I'm complaining. I just don't see why we ever came here.
To set a trap for Rose. And he hasn't done what I thought he would. Perhaps I've been wrong about him all these years. Curious. But I'll just go and,
I do hope that I'm not intruding, but you did suggest that I drop in if I happen to be passing.
Nice to see you.
Does this mean that
Eve, take a letter to the post for me, will you? There's something I want to get off very urgently.
you said we were going back to London?
Oh, I am sorry. Fishing not coming up to expectations.
Oh, no, I wouldn't say that. It's not been too bad on the whole. Now, for God's sake, will you go and smarten yourself up? You look terrible.
Well, I'm glad to see that your wife is feeling better.
You know as well as I do, Mr. Rose, she's not my wife. My wife left me 10 years ago.
You were divorced.
And having tried marriage once, I've never felt inclined to repeat it.
I never felt inclined to try it.
Wise of you. Will you excuse me?
Of course.
You see a checkbook here anywhere? Ah, yes, here we are. Oh, yes, I read that piece in the Sunday World.
Did you?
More to be said on many famous cases.
Is there more to be said on the mermaid case, do you think?
You think so, otherwise you wouldn't be here now, Mr. Rose.
So do you, or you wouldn't be here either, Mr. Max.
Are you suggesting that I came down here?
To fish for whatever I was intending to disclose in my memoirs.
Such as what? Do you know what the date is?
15.
Thank you. You thought I killed her, didn't you? Everyone did, even my wife did. But we told you it was Noel Woods, only you wouldn't believe us.
Idle speculation is a profitless enterprise. It is the evidence that counts. And in this case, the full and frank statement made by Noel Woods.
Then why have you come here to see me now?
Because you came to see me the other day.
Oh, you couldn't possibly assume that I was here by chance. So all week, you see, I've been waiting.
Waiting?
For you to raise the subject, and I've given you every opportunity I could.
You gave me opportunity.
Well, do you think we've been meeting by accident?
No, not exactly.
When nothing happened, I began to think perhaps I'd misjudged you. Perhaps you really did believe in my innocence. Silly of me, wasn't it? Because here you are at last, just as I thought you'd be. Eve, you got an envelope?
Well, I'll take my leave, Mr. Maxton. If you're going back to town later this evening, I don't suppose...
We may decide to stay a couple more days yet.
Dave!
Well, good afternoon to you both.
You said we were going back, David. I thought you wanted me to post that for you.
No, that was bait. We'll stay a couple more days. Now that the fish are biting.
Oh, what do you mean? A cheque?
For £1,000. Made out to Noel Woods. Drusilla!
Just coming. Good morning.
Good morning. You look quite radiant this morning, Drusilla.
It's my birthday.
Oh, should that explain it? Ah, well, I suppose at your age it's still a cause for celebration. So just you wait until you reach the sear and yellow.
Do you like the dress?
I think it's quite perfect.
Isn't it? John gave it to me. Wasn't that sweet of him? I wouldn't have had the courage to buy it for myself, but now that I'm wearing it, it's glorious, isn't it?
I'd be, as you say, glorious. I'd be obliged if you'd get onto the yard, Drusilla. Ask for Miss Pugh in records. See if she can tell you when and where Woods completed his sentence.
At Kirby Brenton Prison on March the 5th, 1961, after full remission.
Such efficiency.
One tries.
Efficiency and beauty. What more can a man want in a woman?
I was wondering about the governor there. In 1961, it was Colonel Roberts.
Oh, VC, DSO, MC.
If you think he might know something about Woods.
I doubt that.
How? Well, goodbye, Woods. I hope I never have to see you again. They always say it when you leave, and that's that. Till next time.
One moment, John. Basher Drummond, wasn't he chief of Kirby Brenton once?
Yes.
Ah, splendid fellow. Get on to the prison, Drusilla. If Woods went through his hair...
God help the poor bastard.
He'll know more about him than all the do-gooders put together. The best prison officers always do.
Right.
He's retired.
Retired.
He was put out to grass 2 years ago.
To grow roses, no doubt. Try the Prison Officers Association, Drusilla. I'm sure Mr. Quenting will know where he is.
Fine.
Of course, it's open to doubt whether it's worthwhile going to all this trouble to find out about Woods. Still, as an old copper who has put himself out to grass, I suppose it provides me with an occupation.
If Maxton is in fact paying Woods money...
If
Well, you saw that check.
he left me alone in the cabin so that I could see it.
The check could still be real.
Whether or not Woods went inside for Maxton, Maxton wants me to think he did.
Question is, why?
That's what I find so intriguing.
No, he'll come all right. Rose will give his right arm to find out what this is all about. Yeah, right about 8, yeah. Oh, and could you get on to Tony for me to save me a call? No, I'll call her myself. All right, goodbye.
He's looking forward to seeing you, he says. You'll never guess what he's doing, though. He's got a petrol pump in Dorking.
Basher Drummond.
He says it gives him time to get on with his sculpture.
So he's bashing stone about now, is he? Well, he'd want to keep his hand in on something.
We'll set off at once.
May I ask why?
Just fetch the car, John.
All right. I'll just fetch the car. But it's Maxton who's taking you for the ride.
What does that mean?
He disapproves of my chasing wild geese.
Wild geese? Do you mean to say that all that telephoning that I've been doing in order to track down...
I do
Woods-
hope that you like this. It hardly goes with John's dress, but then it was hardly meant to. But I'm sure that on the right occasion, you will be able to show it off to advantage. And it is you.
It's beautiful. Really, you shouldn't have.
Well, well, well. What a lucky girl you are.
Yes, I am. Thank you very much. I don't know what to say.
Admittedly, we must not assume that there is, after all, any connection between Woods and Maxton, but nevertheless...
You're walking right into it. Maxton's out to make a monkey of you.
Why should he bother to do that?
Whether he's guilty or innocent, the mermaid case finished him.
It finished them all.
So he hates your guts.
Which is why, if he is bent upon revenge, it's likely to take a more dangerous form than mere laughs. So we'll follow the trail that he has laid for us to see what it is that he is planning.
Well, he might have said last night that he didn't believe in that check stunt.
Let me.
Oh, thank you.
Since it's your birthday, how about going out somewhere tonight? You and me, I mean.
Yes. Well, that would be lovely. Thank you. I shan't be a moment.
I'll fetch the car.
Going? Where?
Home.
Well, I told you we were going home in a couple of days, probably tomorrow.
Well, I'm going now. I mean my home, not yours. Huh, if I can find it again.
Oh, all right.
Don't you care?
No, I don't. That's the whole point. Don't you see? I cared about my wife. She didn't deserve it the way she behaved. It made no difference. I cared about her so much that when she walked out on me, I swore I'd never ever risk having to go through that again, and I have no intention of doing so. You better hurry or you'll miss the bus from the village.
I'd have missed it anyway.
You'll still do better to go.
You're telling me?
Still, if you could put up with me for just one more day, I'm having a party here tonight.
I thought we might go to a little place in Henley I know.
When?
Tonight, for dinner. If I make my presence felt with the chef, he'll do us pretty well.
He won't like it, you know.
Who?
Sir?
I'll leave him a good dinner at home. Cold, but appetizing.
He still won't like it.
We're not his slaves. If I want to take you out on your birthday, I shall. Assuming you want to come, of course, do you?
Right, John. Straight home.
Well, what did Mr. Drummond say?
On the day of his release, Noel Woods was met by car at the prison gates. The driver was David Maxton.
Dave, where are you going?
See Rose. I won't be long.
David,
Yes?
is that all you care about now?
What?
Getting your own back on Rose?
Yeah, that's right.
Not about me. Nothing about me at all.
No, nothing.
I just wanted to be sure.
Why?
All right. I'm going to stop wasting my time.
Yeah, I should if I were you.
He's trying to confess to you.
Maxton.
It's the only possible explanation.
Well, he hasn't exactly unburdened his heart as yet.
Don't give him time. Look, it can't be easy summoning up the courage to confess. So he's trying to get you to help him.
How?
By forcing you to discover the truth for yourself. By dropping great heavy clues in your path, knowing that you'll be bound to pick them up.
Idle supposition is fruitless. This one is also absurd.
I wonder. I suppose your friend Basher Drummond doesn't know where Woods is, does he?
In Birmingham.
Birmingham. Why didn't you say?
He heard on the grapevine that Woods is running some confidence racket there.
That fits.
Well, Woods has the necessary brains, charm, and acting ability.
Well, he used to be a pro.
The Basher also gave me some addresses where he might be found.
Are we off again?
No, I think we can safely leave that to John. They're not the sort of places for a well-brought-up young lady like you. And if I were to show my face there, everyone who matters would simply vanish. Do you think you can get off to Birmingham tonight?
Tonight,
Drusilla will run you to the station.
I'm, taking Drusilla out to dinner tonight for her birthday.
Oh, what a shame. She'll have to put up with me instead. Where was John taking you? Oh, if he's not going to be here to cook for us, we shall have to go out somewhere anyway. There's a very good place in Henley. Even John recommends it, so I'm sure it's possible.
Excuse me?
Mr. Maxton, sir.
Ah, Mr. Maxton.
Ah, Mr. Rose.
An unexpected pleasure.
I was wondering if you cared to come to a little party I'm having on the boat tonight. Sort of farewell before we push off back to London tomorrow.
Well, that's uncommonly civil of you.
Just a few friends coming down from London, something to eat and lots to drink. It's for Eve, really. She needs a bit of cheering up. Can you make it?
I'd be delighted. May I bring my secretary?
Well, yes.
It really is most awfully kind of you, but as it happens...
We were discussing how to entertain ourselves this evening when you called. This seems to fill the bill admirably, don't you think? What time, Mr. Maxton?
Well, shall we say about 8:30?
Delighted. We'll look forward to it.
The pleasure's mine. Excuse me.
Yes. But it's all going to be most frightfully cramped, I'm afraid. But we can always spill out on the deck, can't we?
David!
Yes.
I'm going to enjoy myself tonight. I warn you.
Are you dear? Well, we all are, too. I warn you, too. Well, hello, darling. How's your drink?
Ready for more, as always.
Good. Now, we must all act in a gay and enjoyable way.
So long as the boat doesn't start to rock.
It won't be the boat, darling. Michael, you look splendidly fit.
Yes, it's the anticipation that does it.
You explained everything to Tony, did you?
Oh, yes, the lawyer has been well briefed.
Oh, that'd be a nice change for him.
Talking about me?
No, only most flatteringly.
Just saying that you should know how to lead for the prosecution. Oh, the hand's not lost its cunning. When do we expect the guest of honor?
Oh, any moment now. And by the way, he's bringing his secretary.
Secretary? Male or female?
Oh, very, very female.
Middle-aged?
Young and rather delicious.
Are you thinking that might be useful? Yes, I am indeed.
This feels rather like doing a show. I feel I should go around wishing everyone good luck. Hello, darling. Good luck, Doctor. Good luck. Good luck.
Only you needed much more than I do.
Oh, no, the whole thing's going to be the most enormous success. Only must keep an eye on Susan, see she doesn't get too slosh.
Why, won't that be a help?
No, I'd rather there be all acted slosh.
Oh, in the nicest possible way.
Oh, but of course, in the nicest possible way. Ah, they're here at last.
I do hope we're not later than polite, Mr. Mark.
Oh, do please come in, Mr. Rose. I'm so glad that you could both make it. Well, now, I think you know everyone who was here.
Know everyone.
Well, all old friends and acquaintances.
But of course. You must let me introduce you, my dear. Miss Lamb, Miss Suzanne Mark.
How clever of you to remember me, Mr. Rose.
How could I ever forget you, Miss Mark?
Why not? Everyone else did.
I saw your first film.
Which was also my last.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Not as sorry as I am.
Mr. Tony Ackroyd, Miss Lamb. Mr. Ackroyd practiced at the bar.
Admiral to probate and divorce.
Yes.
But not any longer. For reasons Mr. Rose can explain.
Well, perhaps not just now.
You'll like his version better than mine. Mine's a trifle jaundiced.
And Michael Sanderson, Miss Lamb. MP for X. I was going to say MP for some years.
Very few.
I expect you're glad to be out of politics. Such a frustrating job.
Aren't they all?
A journalist, you have much more influence than a mere MP, don't you?
Not my kind.
Ah. Miss Clifton, Miss Lamb, Miss Georgina Clifton.
Hello. Yet another one of these. Ex-fiancé of Lord Jessel. Do you know Lord Jessel? I'm afraid not. Lucky guess.
Do you see much of his lordship?
Oh, yes. When his picture's in the papers.
Well, I must say I find this really quite delightful. Usually at parties I hardly know anyone.
Well, now, since we're all met, we may as well cast off.
Cast off.
Just a trip down the river, Miss Lamb. Don't worry, we'll see you get home safely.
Just a moment. I fancy the party is not quite complete.
Well, who's missing?
Well, the most important person, surely. The self-confessed killer, Noel Woods.
Champagne, sir.
Oh, forgive me, Woods. I hadn't noticed you.
Enjoying the party?
I always enjoy parties.
I'm so glad you do.
I only came out because I was under the impression that we'd stopped for a moment a while ago.
Yes, we had to. The steering got fouled up and we drifted into the bank. I can't imagine what Senlip was doing.
Senlip. You remember him? He was your skipper on the Mermaid.
Well, I had to hire someone to pilot the boat this evening. He did such an excellent job last time. He's a most reliable fellow. He always does what I tell him to. I'm just on my way to take him some sustenance. Ah, Miss Lamb. You have some fresh air. It's a bit warm in there, I think, isn't it?
In every sense.
Well, you should have been with us 10 years ago on the Mermaid. Of course, that was a larger boat. I could afford it in those days.
They're really going to run rub your nose in it.
In what?
They're going to do everything again, just as they did before, under your very eyes.
Well, not quite everything, surely.
As far as they dare. To crow over you, to show you what a fool they made of you 10 years ago.
Why? Just for kicks.
Or to make you feel such an ass you won't even mention the case in your memoirs. She wasn't on board when we started.
So that's why we stopped just now.
If I'm right.
As far as they dared, I think you said.
Not a bad looker, is she? Older than the other one, but the same sort of style.
I only saw the other one. Then.
We stopped for this one at the back of some transport cafe a few minutes ago.
Don't tell me she was hitchhiking to London.
Oh, no. Just a local good time girl, I gather. Well, you can tell that, can't you?
I thought you were here to serve.
This time I'm a guest. The steward bit was just for old time's sake. A bit high and irresistible, don't you think?
I hear you're in Birmingham these days.
Who told you? Basher Drummond.
Yes.
Oh, relax. You're not still in the force. It's my night off.
Come on, love, let your hair down. You've retired now, so you've nothing to lose. Like the rest of us.
If that lord she was engaged to had really loved her, he wouldn't have broken it off, whatever the publicity.
You think so? Love isn't that blind.
Are we out at sea now? Oh, come on, darling, I'll make you so happy.
She could still have been a star if she'd had the talent.
With talent or without it. But they asked her to play a nun in her next film. I ask you, a nun after a party like this.
I still can't see why they all think it's your fault.
Hardly ours, was it? How did we know what was going to happen to the girl?
But once you saw the way things were going,
You think we should have left, darling? Jumped overboard and swum for it? Will Mr. Rose do that tonight when it really hots up? Well, we'll see, won't we?
see?
That's what we're here for, darling. To see how he makes out.
Hey, they say you're a cooker. Go on, you don't look like one.
Well, I might take that as a compliment.
Oh, you're much too nice looking for a policeman.
What's your name?
Shirley.
Well, Shirley, come and sit down with me. I want to have a word with you.
You see, Miss Lamb, even the ex-chief inspector's made of flesh and blood.
Is that why you brought her on board? To prove it?
Has anyone told you about Annie Smith?
Oui? What?
She was picked up for a party on a boat just like this, just as you've been, and she died.
Oh, yes. Something put in her drink, wasn't it? To make her hallucinate.
Correct.
Oh, we won't need anything like that with me. Got to eat hard.
You don't seriously think that Mr.
It's
Rose
not
had
important
let
what I think, you know. The point is, would anyone else think it?
her... Of course not.
What, such a worthy man?
Yes.
Pillar of rectitude, untouched by scandal,
Yes.
as I was at one time.
You?
And the people were willing enough to believe things of me, Miss Lamb, even when someone else was convicted.
No one could possibly suspect Mr. Rose.
That's a very lovely necklace you're wearing. Is that a present from an admirer? Miss Lamb, can you honestly tell me Mr. Rose has never cast an eye over his pretty secretary?
Put that girl ashore, Maxton,
Why?
or there'll be trouble.
Trouble? For whom? Oh, come on, Rose. The girl can look after herself.
can she?
Well, you're a man of the world.
Is that what they said to you 10 years ago?
Oh, now, look here, old man, now. Don't lose your sense of humor.
You're quite right, Drusilla. They're going to act the whole thing out all over again. Only this time, I am to play the part of Maxton.
I'm glad you caught on at last.
But weren't you the one?
No. Woods was the one. The only thing they paid him for was to confess what he'd done, am I right?
And paid to the nose.
But Mr. Maxton was guilty, all right. And he's gone on feeling guilty ever since.
Well, guilty? Guilty of what?
You know very well what your crime was.
But, my dear fellow, I did nothing.
Exactly. That was your crime. Could have prevented the whole thing. Only you didn't want to spoil the party as the celebrated idol of the idiot box you couldn't bear not to be loved.
All right, what are you going to do about it now?
The circumstances are entirely different. This is not my party nor my boat, and little Shirley What's-her-name is not going to die.
Well, I didn't know Annie Smith was going to die. How can you tell with this one?
You have a point.
Do you know, I thought you'd caught on. But you obviously haven't. You see, you're me. You're Maxton. You're in charge.
I don't follow.
You're in charge of this boat. I'll tell Senham to take orders from you. And it's your party. Now you carry on. And let's see if you do any better than I did.
He didn't care a damn either.
Give him a break, old boy. She's older than she looks, you know.
Was it you who talked Maxton out of it 10 years ago?
They all did. Leave the girl alone, they said. She'll be all right.
How were we to know she wouldn't be? How could we have known?
It's all right for them. They had far less to lose than I had.
Oh, listen to him. I was PPS to a cabinet minister when I was 25. I'd be on the front bench by now.
My entire career depended upon a private life that was beyond reproach.
I had a marginal seat. After that little lot, they didn't want to risk me again.
As I was constantly saying to my wife, the slightest suggestion of scandal would ruin me.
Well, you always think of yourself.
Not that she took a blind bit of notice with her unbelievably childish behavior. And when she came to the conclusion that I was a hypocrite and flatly refused to believe that swine would sue her.
Well, if you hadn't given him a job...
He was an out-of-work actor and I wanted to help him.
Oh, the star dispensing largesse.
Then you repaid me by picking up that stupid little kid to ruin my party and everything I stand for and believe in.
Why didn't you send them both packing?
What the hell's going on? Have you all seen a ghost?
Something of the sort, yes.
Well, what's happened to the party, then?
Get yourself dressed. You're going home.
Oh, you got a nerve. Think you can pick me up at that cafe back there? Promise me a good time, then tell me to buzz off, because you didn't manage to make it.
How can you say that
Look,
Mr.
how
Rose...
do you think I got on this boat?
Well, I know Mr. Rose didn't bring you.
Oh, but I saw him do it, love.
You what?
You see, I've got witnesses. I was hanging about down by the river, and this old kid over there, he calls out to me from the boat. Having a party, he says. Why don't you come on board?
Annie Smith did this to you.
He put her up to it.
You shouldn't have interfered, Maxton. It was just a bit of harmless fun.
I couldn't well risk putting her on the shore after that, now could I?
Silly girl, spite.
Oh, just you wait, Rose, thinking yourself God, judging us.
I've been your conscience for 10 years.
You'll see. A tin god. As much base metal in you as any of us.
If he tries to get rid of me, I swear I'll go straight to the nearest police station and I'll lay a charge.
As if they'd believe you for one moment.
Well, he got me drunk, didn't he? He sat over there, tanking me up, crawling all over me. Well, didn't he? That's right, dear. I saw him with my own eyes.
She's drunk.
Indecent assault. That's what it was.
An ex-chief inspector, too.
Oh, rather embarrassing. A man of his age. Not the sort of thing my readers would approve of at all.
You see, they all saw.
I could give evidence, too.
My dear Miss Lamb, I've not practiced at the bar for some years now. All the same, I think I can make a pretty good job of cross-examining you.
What do you mean?
As you rush to your employer's defense, showing such feeling, such ardor, may I use the word, love.
I should simply tell the truth.
Do you mind telling it now?
You know the truth as well as I do.
And then I must put my question in another way. Is it true, Miss Lamb, that you live in the same house as your employer? A living-in secretary?
What?
Just answer the question, yes or no.
Yes.
You are a living-in secretary. With a bedroom on the same floor as your employer.
That has got nothing to do with it.
It has a great deal to do with your attitude in this case.
No one would possibly suspect Mr. Rose.
And with so many witnesses to corroborate everything this girl says.
You wouldn't dare.
We won't have to, will we, Rose? You won't let it get that far, will you, any more than I did?
Go and get dressed.
Look, miss.
So that we can proceed to the nearest police station where you may tell them whatever nonsense you choose, but not until you are properly clothed.
Now, look, if he thinks that
Later, darling. Later. I warn you, Rose, she'll do it. And we'll back her all along the line.
You'll never get away with it.
Just to have the charge for it, that's all we want, and they'd give us that. They'd have to. They'd have no choice, now aren't I right?
Drusilla, will you ask Mr. Senliff to tie up at the nearest possible landing place?
But they are
You
right.
Do as I tell you.
Ex-chief inspector on charge. That'd be enough to break you. And Sanderson here, he's going to see to it. He's a journalist these days, remember?
The kind of paper that just loves this kind of story.
You know it's all a pack of lies.
I'll say what Dave wants me to say. Well, I wouldn't stand a dog's chance of keeping him otherwise, would I?
Why aren't we pulling into the bank? Senliff!
You mustn't.
Senliff, there are 3 of us who want to go ashore.
Ex-chief inspector on a charge. Who'll publish you after that, even when you're cleared? It's not worth it.
He'll never go through with it. There's too much to lose.
Well, he doesn't exactly seem to be bluffing.
Well, if he isn't, he's had it. Surely you'll say a piece all right, won't you, doll?
Come along now. We're tying up.
Now use your common sense, Rose. If only you will admit
That I would have been as cowardly as you. I'm sorry I cannot give you that satisfaction. Come along, Shirley.
Go on, darling.
You said he'd give in.
Well, he hasn't.
Well, you swore he would.
Go on.
Me too.
Police station, that's what you were hired for.
But they usually give in.
He's only bluffing.
Of course he is.
Get on with it.
He'll never make the station.
And even if he does,
You know what to do,
you've
kid.
done it before, you can do it again. Oh, come on, smash him.
Well, I only ever once got as far as actually going to the police.
Yes, Shirley.
Well, it ended up with me being charged.
Money with medicines.
Blackmail.
I have a feeling the party's over. Good night.
You know something? They used to turn up their noses at my programs, all the smart Alex. They didn't know that those letters I got could make you weep. Thousands of people from all over the country used to open up their hearts to me, you know. But I knew none of them. I never even saw them. But they knew me. So to have my friends on my boat, taking them up the river, it meant an awful lot to me. And you know something, Eve? There was a David Maxton fan club. And the funny thing is, Annie Smith belonged to it. How could I have stopped that party? How could I?
All the same, If she hadn't had a previous conviction, she could very easily have had a charge brought. And it would have ruined you.
Luckily, she did have a record.
You weren't to know that, were you?
Or were you?
I beg your pardon.
Like every good copper, you can tell the old-timer a mile off. You've got a smell for it, a sixth sense. I bet you a week's wages you knew that girl for what she was all the way along. You knew she'd never dare to bring a charge. You knew you were never in the slightest danger.
I am confident that I would have acted as I did under any circumstances.
I bet you any money you like.
I'm not a betting man.